People often ask me, hey Leo, what is a really good deal versus a bad deal when you're analyzing businesses to buy? And that's a fair question. So in today's video, I'm going to show you inside of our deal analyzer that we use for our group coaching program, how we go about analyzing deals and determining what a good deal is and what a bad deal is. And when you have a good deal, why is it a good deal? What are the elements that make up the perfect situation for you to make an offer on? So let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am your host, Leo Landaverde, business broker and commercial lender, helping you buy and scale a profitable business. You are a small business owner looking to increase your wealth by buying a profitable business, or a corporate executive or employee sick and tired of the rat race and want to leave it behind by buying a profitable business. You are in the right place. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the bell, and you'll be notified every Thursday when new content comes out. All right, so you're trying to buy a business, but having a hard time determining what a good deal and a bad deal is. So I have some notes here. So what I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to show you all in my computer inside of our deal analysis workbook, which is this Excel workbook that has over 100 formulas that help us calculate the post-debt service cash flow, the cash on cash return, the cap rate, the average 3-year SDE on a deal, and how to figure out what the optimal multiple is, whether you want to go with seller discretionary earnings or adjusted EBITDA. There are rules for this. So factors that you have to consider when doing analysis is if you are working through a broker, so you're reaching out to a broker that represents the seller, what information are you getting? What if when you sign the NDA, what are you actually getting from the broker? Are you getting a full package? Are you getting a confidential information memorandum that has at least 20 pages worth of information, and embedded in that is going to be a copy of the tax returns or a summary of the tax returns? If not, you need to get that document plus the last 3 years worth of tax returns. Because if you have if your intent or your plan is to actually get it financed by a bank, you're not going to get anywhere unless you have the tax returns. So I like to have those tax returns long before I make the offer, so pre-underwrite the deal, which is something we're going to do inside of our deal analyzer. So I'm going to show you what that looks like inside of it. But keep in mind, so you need the confidential information memorandum, you need the tax returns, and some of the things that would be on my wish list is if there is a list of the top 10 customers to find out if there are any customer concentration issues, and the top 10 vendors to see if there are any vendor concentration issues. Is there any intellectual property that is coming with the deal? Are they saying they're open to a stock deal or an asset purchase agreement? So all of those things, what are they saying? Is the seller willing to carry any paper? Are they so bullish and so confident on the business they're trying to sell that they're willing to back it up with giving you some type of seller financing? Ideally, what you want is a situation in which you have your 5 to 10% down payment, you have a 5 to 10 or even 15% seller financing, which could have some clawback provisions, and a loan from a bank, an SBA loan. So let's get inside and let me show you what that looks like. So this is let's just begin what a good deal looks like. This is taken from an actual deal that is about to close in 2 weeks. I am protecting the integrity and the identity of the seller, but what you can see here is how the actual deal, the final deal got shaping up. We're in the deal analysis tab. For those of you who are inside my group, there is a whole lot more to analysis to be done. I do give away a smaller, more basic workbook, more on the deal analysis here, but it doesn't have a lot of the other sheets, but it's still good enough. So there was a whole lot of analysis that went on here and trending, but let me tell you what made this a good deal. So the asking price was $1,950,000 on revenue of $5,980,000. The cash flow, as evidenced by the tax returns, was $730,000. This was actual dollar for dollar add backs, allowable add backs by any bank. So as it was on day one, it was a 2.67 multiple. If you can see right here that's a 2.67 multiple of cash flow. A solid deal. Clearly, we have received over 100 buyer inquiries 5 buyer-seller meetings, 2 offers, 1 went under contract. The actual contract was a little over asking price at 2.765 multiple of selling discretionary earning. Even though that the 3-year average was 366 on 2.8, the buyer saw the opportunity to use the economies of scale that they have on other businesses that they already owned, and it would have been a perfect fit for what they were trying to do. So they gave the credit to the seller on the 2022 tax returns of 730. They went with a 2.7. They offered a $2,020,000 on the $6 million revenue. So it ended up being a 2.77, a slightly higher than what we had, because they paid a little more. So the way that the structure of the deal was put together, the seller came up with a down payment of $863,683, or 42.8% on the of the purchase price. There was a seller carry, but this it wasn't exactly a seller carry. What it was a rollover equity deal. Because of the rollover equity situations are fairly new with the SBA right now, SBA lenders were not able to do it, so it had to be done with traditional lending. Hence, there was the seller the buyer had the capabilities to put a larger down payment. They still got the rollover equity, which ended up being 7% or 50% injection into the new co, with a 51% loan to value on the loan. This is just an incredibly solid deal. This is the debt service, and if you take your seller discretionary earnings minus your debt service, it gives you your post debt service cash flow. This is what I look at. Post debt service cash flow has to make sense. In this case, we have $570,000 worth of post debt service cash flow in a 4.55 debt service coverage ratio. You know from watching my videos that anything over 1.5 is good. Are you stuck and trying to figure out how to buy a business? A lot of people think that buying a business is like buying a house, that can you just make an offer and that'll be it. But even when buying a house, you need a real estate agent. So why would you try to buy a business without a sage advice? Let me help you. Let me understand what's going on and what your challenges are with trying to put a deal together. I'd love to be able to give you some free coaching. If you are interested, drop me a comment below or shoot me an email. My email address is right above here or at the description section of this video, or drop me a comment. Let's connect. This is 3 times the acceptable rate. Cash on cash return for the buyer, even after putting $863,000, is 66%. It's definitely a cash cow. And there's no cap rate doesn't apply in this case because there's no real estate involved. So what we look for on any deal is, let's take it to the right. What is our stress test? What is our break even? Worst comes to worst. How much revenue, what net profit do we need to generate on a year-over-year basis to cover the debt service? In this case, we would have to be doing $2 million at 8% net profit to have the $160,000 to cover the $160,000 worth of debt service. That's break even. That's our break even. The SDE at purchase was 12.2% on 730, so it was a solid SDE. So those are the mechanics of sort of the deal. That's what makes a deal. And what I also look for when I'm analyzing deals, I want to see a progression of revenue and profits going up year over year, which is happening here. 853, 797, 1.8, 5.9. And actually end up being over 5 million in 2023. So those are the things that, so this is what, if you want to know what a good deal looks like, this is a deal that is going to be financed. If it hadn't been for the rollover equity, basically asking the seller to take a second bite at the apple, this would have been financed by any SBA lender. This was a solid deal. Okay, so that is what a good deal looks like. So let's talk about what a bad deal looks like. Okay, so this appears, at least on the surface, like it's a really good deal. Okay, so, but why is it a good deal? Well, let's start with what the broker, the listing agent for the seller, had to offer. So they had the offer, the asking price at $4.8 million on $4,197,000 worth of revenue. And the revenue was legit because it wasn't the tax returns, and the cash flow of $1 million, $1,079,964. Was a business, an HVAC deal, heating and air conditioning company that had been around for at least 10 years. They wanted a 4.44 multiple of SDE. This is an automatic calculation that we do inside of our group. So a lot of those things, formulas are already protected, so you don't have to worry about messing them up. So this is what we got, 4.44. When we did analyze the tax returns, the average 3-year SDE came out at 3.4, and the 3-year revenue at 3.4 million, and the SDE at 593. It's a little shy of the $1,079,000. And the reason for that is because listing agents, to maximize the purchase price or the sales price of the business, they want to go with the most recent upward trend year. So in this case was the last fiscal year that they went, and we had a great year, $1,079,000, but they wanted to capitalize on the great year by getting the highest price you could get, $4,008,000. So I think there was definitely overpriced. I would never want to be in a situation where you have so much, and you're gonna know why that I think is overpriced. But let's get to how they wanted this structure. I don't remember whether this deal was pre-qualified by an SBA lender or not, but we assumed that it could have been, just because it had all the makings of being pre-approved, because it was all legit tax returns. It was a steady business. It was, clean books, etc. It's 10% down, and then a bank loan for 90%. Now, when you're looking at loans that are over $1 million, there are some higher net worth requirements for the buyer. Not only do you have to worry about the licensing for this trade business, this HVAC business, but you have to worry about the net worth requirement, because this is indeed a cash flow loan. So you're never going to have assets equal to the purchase price. It's always going to be a huge amount of goodwill, and this is a cash flow. This is a goodwill loan, meaning that it has no assets. So and most lenders are okay under $2 million to be a cash flow without minimal assets. But when you get over that threshold, there's more scrutiny, which means that there are more net worth requirements on the side of the buyer. The debt service coverage ratio was fine. I mean, so this business on the prior fiscal year, with $1 million worth of net profit, gave us a debt service coverage ratio of 1.54, as you can see here, 1.54 worth of debt service. It passes the bank's test. Now, when we analyze it on prior years, did it pass the test? So we have 0.59, 1.24, 1.6. So it didn't do so good on prior years. So really the best year is the last year. So they want to give all this weighted average. I mean, they don't want to average it out. They want to come out swinging at the highest price you could ever got. So, and that's kind of how it was. This is sort of 3 and 4 is sort of a back, that your average, most businesses are going to be average of SDE. It could be a little higher, or 4 times adjusted EBITDA. So in order for us to even come close to the 4.8 million asking price, which you're going to start to see why it's overpriced, even if we came out with a 6 times average 3-year SDE of 593, we came out at 3.5. We came up over $1.3 million short of what they wanted. But here is my concern. Look at the debt service coverage ratio of 1.14. What if we try to match it at 8 times, at 4.7? We would have to pay 8 times cash flow, which means it would kill a debt service coverage ratio. We have negative cash flow, because there's enough cash flow to cover debt. So it's just a really bad situation. So it doesn't make sense. So it was even risky at 5 times at 2.9. So whenever you have a situation that you're too far apart between what the seller wants and the buyer is willing to offer based on what we can get finance through the deal, that's when we have a bad situation. You can create animosity. We're staying too far apart. It doesn't make sense. 10% down, 296,000 on a 90% LTV. Even if you were going to have the seller carry 20% to come even close, it would have to be in standby situation, which we don't have right now, and it will help us out a little more if we went with a full standby situation. it would give us a 1.76. It would have to be a full-on standby deal with 20% sell, 20% seller financing or seller carry at 5 times to even come close to what we want, and I'm still nervous. I would feel better. This was a 4 times at 2.3 with the 20% seller financing. It would be, this is kind of the deal that we would want, but you notice that we're already cutting the purchase price in half. It's a bad situation. How beauty is though in the eye of the beholder. If you already own an HVAC facility and 50 miles away, you wanted to expand into a territory, and you would have to invest $1 million just to get that operation going, and it would take you years to break even, then I can see that how would it make sense. Strategic buyers tend to pay a little higher than first-time buyers just because of the synergies of their existing business can actually do help the buyer. So this is why this is a bad deal. Hopefully that helps you guys. So for a limited time, I'm giving away my cash flow calculator and the buyer's checklist. These 2 documents get downloaded a couple hundred times a week. It's great tools if you are looking for ways to analyze deals and figure out what you have or don't have and what you should do next. These are my gifts to you for watching my videos. Please enjoy them. Follow the links below to get your documents. Thank you.